First Things First is sponsored by Gillette, the best a man can get.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf. That's the Hall of Famer Chris Carter. That is Nick Wright. It is a Friday morning. We have a big weekend of games to look forward to. Here are the moving parts. Here's how it's going to look. Eagles are trying to make another miracle playoff run. Vikings get in with a win in Pittsburgh. Well, they find themselves in unfamiliar territory heading into Week 17. That's where we will begin today's show. It has been a mostly rocky season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Contract holdouts, quarterback finger pointing, some sloppy play.
What?
Did I not say the Hall of Famer Chris Carter? Did I skip it?
I think you didn't introduce either one of us, but it's great to see you.
Did I just forget about all of that?
Right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Well, that's how you start a Friday show. Despite all the things I just laid out for the Steelers this past season, they still have a chance to make it to the postseason. Here's how it'll look. If Pittsburgh beats the Bengals at home on Sunday and the Browns beat the Ravens, or less likely the Colts and Titans tie, Steelers, who have lost 4 of their last 5, are in. Hall of Famer Chris Carter, who is also an anchor on this show every single day from the very beginning. How much does this season's story for the Steelers change if they do indeed make the playoffs?
It doesn't change unless they make a significant run in the playoffs. They have the type of talent that they should be in the playoffs. They shouldn't be battling with Baltimore, excuse me, week number 17, and waiting for something for the Cleveland Browns to happen. I mean, that's the story of Pittsburgh season. 17 weeks. Ben Roethlisberger's been healthy the whole season. Oh, and you got to get some help to get into the playoffs. So it's hard to really turn that around and to make it a successful season. Given the organizational, what they go for every year, I know that they're underachieving based on, forget what I say. I know what they're saying internally. They're not achieving the goals or the potential of the type of talent that they have in that locker room.
I'm glad you said what you said at the very beginning, which is barring a substantial run. Like, they need some help to get in, but if they get in and they do something they weren't able to do last year, which is they couldn't win one playoff game last year. They'd have to win a couple. They'd have to get to the AFC Championship game, maybe go through New England on the way there. If all those things happen, then all of this year could be looked at as better than the 13-3 year from last season. But
that's a bunch of ifs.
It's a bunch
the
of
holidays
ifs
and everything. Like if we're really relying on that, or are we just going to go on the recent history that they're going to continue to underperform?
Well, and I would say more importantly, one of those ifs they do not control. They have no impact on whether or not the Browns beat the Ravens. So even if all those things happen, it would have been because they got lucky. Because in Week 17, they do not control their own destiny to get into the playoffs. The Steelers should not be in that position as long as Mike Tomlin's there, as long as Big Ben's been healthy. AB's had an excellent year. Juju, I believe, leads the AFC in receptions and is second in yards. Like, all of those things, yes, they don't have Le'Veon Bell, and we are seeing the impact of that. But that and that alone cannot be an excuse or a justification as to why, at the end of the season, they were 7-2-1, see? They controlled everything they wanted to control, and they blew 3 straight games. I don't think it's too harsh to say they blew 3 straight games, that they could have won any or all of those 3 to put themselves in this position.
Another story came out of Pittsburgh yesterday I just thought was intriguing.
Team MVP?
That Juju Schuster as a wide receiver was named team MVP over Ben Roethlisberger. And if you look at the type of season Ben had, him or James Conner, they should have been the MVP of the team. So to me, it's just another little thing about Pittsburgh. There's always something a little off. There's always like an inside story. There's always something going on. As Mangini calls them, they're the dysfunctional family. Like we all know, they just have their different sets of dysfunction.
A little context on that team MVP. It's voted on by the players. Ben Roethlisberger in his 15th year has won it once. He won it in 2009. Going into this year, AB had won it 4 times already. Juju won it this year, maybe because they were sick of giving it to Antonio Brown. And by the way, Juju did have an excellent year 2, building on that year 1. But that also, to me, speaks to a lot of the things we talk about Ben Roethlisberger as far as being a great player, but not the greatest of teammates, for the last decade, his teammates have had an opportunity to give the best and most important player on the team. Ben Roethlisberger leads the NFL in passing yards. He might throw for 5,000 yards this year. He's obviously been the most valuable player on the team, and Juju gets team MVP voted on by his teammates.
One thing we should mention ahead of this Sunday's game, James Conner did practice on Wednesday, so that'll be a nice addition if they're able to get him back. But let's talk about one of those scenarios, because yes, they have to beat the Bengals. They also have to sit and hope their arch rivals, the Browns, beat the Ravens. How is it possible for this Browns team, the way they've been playing, to pull off an upset against a team like the Ravens who've been playing as well as just about any other?
Well, since they made a change at head coach, there's a couple of significant things happen as far as the offense. And that's their ability to be able to take care of Baker Mayfield and also provide him with some type of running game. So those are the things. When they changed this franchise, decided, oh, Hugh is not the answer, we're going to go with an interim. What they have done is run the football and take care of Baker. If Baker can get time to be able to throw the ball down the field. Now, Baltimore, to me, they have the best defense because they have the most consistent between. Even though outside of Terrell Suggs, you don't know a lot of the guys that they have in that front seven. They have a number of quality young players, but their defensive line play, linebacker play, and their secondary coverage, I believe, makes them the best defense in the league. So it's going to take some time for Baker to try to dissect that defense. They switch it up, a lot of man coverage. Eric Weddle, the safety, you have to watch him because he disguises a tremendous amount of coverages, helps fool a lot of quarterbacks. Last week against the Chargers, I think of the lowest yardage production by Phillip Rivers the last 2 seasons. So very, very tough challenge for Baker Mayfield, but they got to give him a chance, got to keep him up, keep his jersey clean.
The Ravens should win, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Browns were to win this game. The Browns, the last half of the season, have been a good football team. They have played like a playoff team the last half of the season, and because of the Ravens' style, they're not going to be blowing teams out. Like, these are going to be close games, and in close games, week 17, like, it takes one tipped pass going the other way, and all of a sudden, the Browns have a lead late. Like, I do expect the Ravens to take care of business and be a very dangerous AFC playoff team.
And they have something to play for.
Well, they have everything to play for.
Right.
I mean, you can't anticipate that the Steelers are going to lose this week, and not to Jeff Driscoll and the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, you have to bake in that the Steelers should win that football game. So for the Ravens, this is a playoff game, essentially. So I expect them to win, but I wouldn't be shocked if they lost. This wouldn't be like if the Raiders upset the Chiefs and keep the Chiefs from getting the 1 seed, or if the Rams lose and they all fall to the 3 line, like this to the Niners. This wouldn't be a shocking result. The Browns have played very well as of late, and any game involving the Ravens, you know that if you can do a competent job against the run, if you can force them into passing situations, they're going to struggle. So I do think it's in play that the Steelers get into the playoffs, but that won't make winning the division for the Steelers at 9-6-1 doesn't make it a successful season. Like, the only way this can be a successful season is if they then go upset a couple teams in the playoffs.
But even if they were able to make a significant run, you still go back to where was this team?
The systemic issues.
You know, like, I mean, so to me, they've been very, very consistent. That they're inconsistent and they're going to underperform for where their potential level is. It's too good of an organization. The quarterback is too good. They got quality players. They got to get their defense fixed, though. Because it's been a long time since I remember where the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't have any type of bite in that steel curtain. It's like a steel sheet.
All right, let's take a break. Coming up, let's talk some Eagles. Do the Eagles have another miracle playoff run left in the tank? That's next. This is First Things First.
Maybe a satin curtain.